I'm joined by someone who would not need any introduction because you may have heard of him as the youngest billionaire, as the guy behind the 10-minute grocery app Brain. So I'm joined by Mr. Aadit Palicha. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful to be here, and I appreciate you hosting me.
Thank you so much. I'd like to start by asking, we've been hearing off late about the viability of the 10-minute grocery app. You started with it. How viable is the model?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think for us, it's just about the data, right? And we go into a lot more detail than the 140 character takes that happen on Twitter and most of the media. I think we're just in this position where, given where our economics are, the amount of stores and micro markets that we have fully cash flow positive, and the fact that the business is continuing to grow, we're really just in this position where, frankly, we don't see any number that points to an unviable business model. In fact, the way that the profitability metrics are trending right now, we're actually turning our markets faster than the offline world turns their markets profitable in the grocery category. So we're feeling really good. I think it's the I would say there's the detailed numbers, the data, the specifics that are boring and nobody likes going into, and then there's the 140 character takes, and we prefer operating in the former versus in the latter.
So you're saying profitability is just around the corner?
Yeah, no, I think we're in a position where, so at a market level, yes, probably in this quarter or next quarter, which means that all our fully loaded operating costs we will be. Then there's obviously the corporate salaries and the marketing expenses, which are the last elements on your P&L. But I think if needed, we can get the business to fully loaded break even on a cash flow level, full business in 3 to 4 quarters if needed. If needed, but that would obviously come at the cost of significant growth, which we're seeing right now, because the business is continuing to multiply. And so it just becomes that thought process on when is the right stage of the business in terms of scale where you unlock the flywheel on continued growth, which let's say the best public companies in the world have, like a DMart that's grown 30-40% or 20-30% a year and highly profitable. So at what scale do we unlock that flywheel and also can turn the business profitable faster? If needed, we can do it in 9-12 months, but it would be a little bit suboptimal and we'd be doing it slower growth. We prefer the path that we're on right now, which is growing and doing it while burn continues to come down simultaneously.
Sure. If you had to, you compare it with DMart. DMart has very different sort of challenges. There's real estate, there's employees, which a 10-minute grocery model the set of challenges are extremely different. Would you want to enlighten upon what the challenges are that you face?
Yeah, no, I think the challenges are obviously very different for any format of commerce across the country. I don't think it's as much about the different types of challenges or levers. I think the fundamental tenet of the business is just operating excellence, right? And so what's wonderful about DMart in my mind is their operating excellence, right? And I highly admire that. And I think with that same mentality of discipline and genuine best-in-class execution across, line item by line item and basis point by basis point, you can be in a position where you can build a really valuable business. And so for us, it's less about, what problems we have, what problems they have, what's the dynamics. It's obviously very different. The core is that mentality of being best in class and operating with the best efficiency you possibly can. And so that I think is why I cite that example.
The last time we spoke, you explained how the Zepto delivery works. How within 76 seconds, there's an employee outside a dark store and there's a delivery person to pick it up. When we published that story in Business Today magazine and when we went ahead with the video or with my personal experience of ordering it, I had so many people questioning me that is it really 76 seconds?
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. It does take 76 seconds to pick, pack, and dispatch an order. I think the more interesting part is also the last mile, right? How you actually get that done. But yeah, it is actually 76 seconds. So yeah.
Like I was mentioning that earlier in the day, we heard someone say that 10-minute grocery model is not viable because there's unit economics, and to make it sustainable, you have to make it at least 15 to 20 minutes. What do you have to say about that? Would you make it 15 to 20 minutes?
I think again, like just relying on data and numbers, we've run A/B tests, we've seen the different mechanics on the economics, how 10-minute model would work, how a 30-minute model would work, how a 15-minute model would work, how a 40-minute model would work. And we're just in this position where we see very limited correlation on last mile cost, like which is what your people are talking about. Today we operate at the lowest last mile cost in the industry. And in terms of hyperlocal last mile cost, the lowest in the world. despite delivering as fast as we are. So we deliver, in less than 50 cents per delivery, right? And so for us, I think the core is just how strong your supply planning is, how strong your sourcing efficiency is on delivery partners, how strong your ability to get high throughput deliveries done in quick succession, so you can get as much productivity out of your delivery partners, and then dozens of other metrics along those lines. It's not just about the highest level 10-minute or 20-minute, right? And so this business, if you summarize it into those sound bites, it will not work. It's not for the people that like sound bites. It's for the people that like depth, that like clarity and structure. And so, yeah, I think for me, I'll say the numbers are the numbers. So we feel pretty good about where we are.
So you're confident about the numbers, you're confident about the business model. That's a lot of confidence. And have you ever struggled with making your voice here, considering people often introduce you with your age as the first thing? Has that been a struggle?
That's a good question. I think, again, at the end of the day, my fundamental belief is that most people in the ecosystem, and the reason why I enjoy events like these and interacting with people in the ecosystem, is that most people in the ecosystem have the have an inclination towards substance and real value. And I think, like, if you have real substance, people don't care about where you're from, how old you are, what your background is, etc. And so my thought process is just focus on the substance, build the best business that we possibly can, and people will see the value for it, if not today, in the long run. That's really what matters.
Awesome. Where we're going through is something sort of a funding winter. Zepto is a unicorn. Are there plans to become a unicorn? Are you struggling with funding? What are the plans right now?
Yeah, look, I think we're in a position where our burn has come down so much where we're really not dependent on investor capital in the foreseeable future, right? So feeling pretty good about that. I don't think we need to raise. I think we're at a position where probably at an inflection point in economics where it might become a little bit more attractive to quite a few investors. But frankly speaking, it's not something that we're trying to index on. Like, raising capital is not the end, it's the means. And right now we don't need capital. It's not a good time to raise capital, like you pointed out. And frankly, the constraints on capital have pushed us to think a lot better about how we build the business. Because, I mean, if you like, tortured vines make the best wine, right? So if you really have constraints, that's when you really build a high quality business that even when you don't have constraints, you can still build as well, right? And so yeah, I don't think we need capital today. Not going to be raising capital anytime soon. And if we do, you'll be the first one I let know. So yeah,
I'm gonna count on that. You heard it here. We're gonna be the first ones to know it. Lastly, any piece of advice for upcoming entrepreneurs?
Build companies for the right reasons. It's a tough journey, and if your motivation is extrinsic, which is like validation and A, B, C, that is more brittle than like deep intrinsic motivation of loving what you build. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Lovely speaking with you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.